Let's unpack this now with Soviet Likhanyane, the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee. Soviet, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. The start of today's proceedings was quite interesting in that for the very first time I learned that a sworn written statement, signed written statement, isn't a prerequisite to appear before the committee or for a witness to proffer up evidence. However, it has been the norm that every other witness that has appeared has had a signed testimony in written form. It was treated differently. Do you think the committee made the right decision to proceed with Matlala's evidence, despite the fact that his written statement was unsigned and incomplete?
Look, let me start by saying good evening to you and your viewers. We did not use an unsigned statement. Remember, when a witness appears before the committee, the precondition is that the witness must take an oath, and the witness arrived there. He was sworn in, so the evidence that has been given is the one that was orally deposed before the committee, and where there were defects on the draft statement. He said, I'm giving you this oral evidence, and on the following paragraph on the draft statement, I'm making the following corrections. You might have noticed that even when we reach the end of the proceedings, as the chairperson of the day, I asked him to say, are you happy with the evidence that you have deposed before the committee today? Are you happy with the corrections that you have made on the draft statement? Because we need to understand this contextually. Our witness have raised these matters with us that given his situation, he has been denied the opportunity to have important gadgets that would have assisted him to prepare himself for the hearings. And because we have been corresponding with them for the last 4 weeks, it was not going to be possible in the last minute to say that we are calling off the proceedings and we were no longer able to do anything.
Yeah, can I just ask this?
Why we
This seems a little bit inconsistent with the treatment of what was, let's call it the Nkabinde matter, right? Because in the instance of Cedric Nkabinde, it was established very early on that there were inaccuracies, inconsistencies within his written testimony, and the committee then decided to adjourn early to give him an opportunity to go and fix it and then come back so that there's a correlation between his oral testimony and his written testimony. It seemed then that the committee realized and recognized the importance of the integrity of a written testimony, because that is what he's being led on and that is what he's being tested against for consistency. Are you not afraid that you might have made a decision today collectively as a committee that was inconsistent with how you treated Cedric Nkabinde?
You are comparing two different things, and I just want you to go back and listen to what you are saying. Once Cedric Nkabinde sent a written statement for us and the statement is signed, it means it's a sworn statement. And then whatever he's going to say orally must corroborate what is in the written statement. And that is basically why, in the case of Mr. Matlala today, the statement is unsigned. If the statement is unsigned, you can't treat it as a statement.
Yeah.
That's why the evidence, the evidence that serves before the committee is the evidence which he makes orally, that he makes under oath.
Yeah.
And there is a daylight between the situation of Mr. Cedric Nkabinde and Mr. Matlala.
Okay. Can we just
statements are different. This one was signed And today's statement was an unsigned statement. You can't treat it as a statement before the committee.
Sure. Another issue, this is equally as important, and that is on Matlala's reluctance to speak to certain parts of his evidence or certain questions because of the fear of self-incrimination. And the committee went at lengths, and yourself went at lengths, to assure him that nothing he says before this committee can be used against him in any other forum, particularly in a court of law. So if he incriminates himself today, he can't be prosecuted on the basis of that. While I understand that to be the rule of how committees and parliament work, are you not perhaps afraid that that limits then what could happen in a court of law? Should the committee then, which the committee will deliberate on, the committee might come to the conclusion, hey, we think this guy must be prosecuted. We're going to implore the NPA to pursue legal criminal prosecutions here. It is on that basis, the NPA could not then use the committee's report to pursue a prosecution, because nothing he said here could be used against him in a court of law. That seems to be a very sensitive part about the testimony there. Talk to us through some of the thinking there.
Let's go back and read the South African Constitution so that we understand how the Constitution is given a purposeful interpretation. There is nobody in South Africa who can order a person to be arrested except the police authorities themselves. They are the ones who have that responsibility to arrest a person, including prosecution. There is no other authority outside of the NPA that can direct the NPA to prosecute a person. If you have to be prosecuted, that decision must be made by the NPA, not because it's directed by Parliament. Doesn't have any power.
No, but you could recommend. You don't have to direct. You can recommend, which is different from directing, right?
You can't make that recommendation. You can't make that recommendation to the NPA to prosecute a person. It's against the law of this country. And that's why I say, when we interpret the Constitution and national legislation, it must be purposive, because there is no committee of Parliament. I mean, departments have been appearing before committees of Parliament. They know very well that you can't make that kind of a recommendation. The only thing that Parliament can do is to say these matters have to be investigated, and we can't even conjecture to say this is what we think must happen. So everything must happen within the spirit and the letter of the law of the Republic. That is why we had to read to him that provision 17.2 in the Powers, Privileges and Immunities Act, which is consonant with the Constitution of the Republic.
And just a last question here. Do you think that the committee will be able to finish its work before the end of Parliament's term? We understand that more and more questions arise as the committee continues to do its work, and more issues need to be ventilated and probed. And so there are some real worries around whether there's sufficient time for this inquiry.
Our time expires in the next 2 days unless the Parliament makes a decision to extend the work of the committee. And if that extension does not come, for sure you'd know, just 2 days ago we have decided on witnesses that must appear before the committee in anticipation that we will be given extension. So our legal team will start consulting those witnesses as early as next week, and once that extension comes, they will be scheduled to appear before the committee. If the extension does not come, it means by Friday, the 28th of November, that will be the last day of the committee doing its work, and it will not have completed the task, or it will not have fulfilled the mandate that the Parliament would have wanted it to.
Yeah. When do you hope to hear from the Speaker's office around the extension?
Yeah, we hope to get that extension. The Speaker and members of Parliament are reasonable people. They understand. We have given them a report. I cannot say now that they will give extension, but I can only say that we are very hopeful, and we have faith in the leadership and members that they understand that the committee was supposed to have started in August, and it only started on the 7th of October. So reasonably, you can expect that the extension will be granted.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
And that should be the last extension.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Really do appreciate it. That's Soviet Likhanyane, the chairperson of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee.